March 19th. We'll call the roll again then.
Mr. Lucklider?
Here.
Mr. Reiner?
Here.
Vice Mayor Gerber?
Here.
Mayor Keenan?
Here.
Ms. Genesee Zerko?
Here.
And tonight we have a public hearing pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 349.03A, petition to establish the Bridge Park New Community Authority. We have a staff presentation. Angel?
Yes, good evening, members of council. As you are aware, staff have been working with Crawford Hoyne on the Bridge Park development. We have outlined in previous council meetings the anticipated components of this project, which include the establishment of a new community authority, which is why we are here this evening, the establishment of multiple TIFs, which we will be providing an overview to council on Monday evening with future council action anticipated in April and May. And then finally, the establishment of a community reinvestment area, which we would expect to bring forward at some point also in April and May. However, governing all of these components is an overarching development agreement, which is still being negotiated between the city and the developer. That will be brought forward when ready. It is important to reiterate, as we have done in the past, that if that development agreement is not executed, the other proposed tools, including the creation of the new community authority, which is being decided ideally this evening, will ultimately not be implemented. And each of those other tools that I've outlined will be brought forward for council consideration in the public realm. Included in the petition you received was a map that established the boundaries of the new community authority. It encompasses the properties that Crawford Hoyne owns on the east side of the river as well as the west side of the river. As you are aware, Crawford Hoyne filed the petition with the City of Dublin as the proximate city and the Organizational Board of Commissioners. It was also filed with the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. On February 17th of 2015, Dublin City Council, through approval of ordinance number 14-15, determined that the petition was sufficient and it contained the necessary components as required by Ohio Revised Code Section 349. Additionally, that ordinance authorized the execution of the petition and also established this evening as the public hearing on the creation of the new community authority. Notice of tonight's public hearing was done in accordance with ORC and was advertised in the Columbus Dispatch for 3 consecutive weeks. As you indicated, at the conclusion of my presentation, a public hearing will be held, after which time council is being requested to consider ordinance number 25-15. This ordinance will determine whether you believe that the creation of the new community authority will, 1, be conducive to the public health, safety, convenience, and welfare, and 2, is intended to result in the development of a new community as defined in Section 349.01A of the Ohio Revised Code. Additionally, either tonight or within 10 days of passage of this ordinance, council will also appoint 4 members to the 7-member Board of Trustees. The developer will appoint the remaining 3 positions. I want to point out specifically that Section 10 of this ordinance preserves the right for City Council in its sole discretion to dissolve the authority until such time as that right is expressly waived by City Council. So that is done going back to the point made on the first slide, that if these other components, including the development agreement, are not approved by City Council, that the mechanisms put in place through the community authority can be dissolved. We are requesting that council dispense with the second reading and public hearing and adopt this ordinance as an emergency. Passage as an emergency this evening will allow the creation of the authority prior to the March 21st deadline that we've discussed in the past. Any new community authority created after March 21st would have to be sent to the City of Columbus as the proximate city. Are there any questions?
Council? Thank you, Angel. If not, then in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, I will open the public hearing. And we have no speakers signed up. So in accordance with Ohio law, I will close the public hearing. And we will move on to ordinance 25-15. Thank you.
Finding that the creation of the Bridge Park New Community Authority will be conducive to the public health, safety, convenience, and welfare, and is intended to result in the development of a new community, declaring the Bridge Park New Community Authority to be organized in a body politic and corporate defining the boundary of the new community district, fixing the surety for the trustees' bonds, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ann. We've all had a lot of time and involvement with this particular ordinance and are very much aware of what's going on. Council, questions, discussion?
No.
So I just want to point out that, we didn't just see this. I mean, this is, as you mentioned, but, somebody in the email traffic that we received suggested that, there was a mere couple days' notice or something like that. But I just want to reiterate what I believe is obvious, I know is obvious to us and those that have been involved, but to the public at large, that, this has been on the table for a long time, but this particular ordinance was introduced, we had a first reading 30 days ago, am I right? So, anyway, just want to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the only question that I have is, do we have a designated date that we want to appoint the members by?
Well, that's clearly your call, but we, I think as soon as Monday.
Okay.
And then you could have a backup opportunity later in the week if you needed to do that, so.
We do have a time frame. The clock's ticking, though. on it.
Yes,
Right,
10
10
days.
days
10
after
days.
today, but I
From
just
the time
wondered.
of passage, yes.
We'll do it sometime next week at least, if not Monday, Thursday or Friday.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to support what Tim was saying, that we have been studying this for quite a while, and that with the change in the law, it makes sense, and I'm sure that our taxpayers would prefer that Dublin remain the proximate city should this, ultimately, this development go forward, as opposed to Columbus, Ohio. And the way I'm looking at this, this is a placeholder mechanism, for lack of a better word, to go ahead and move with this matter tonight.
Very good. Anybody else?
I move that we dispense with the public hearing and pass as an emergency legislation.
Thank you. Need a second?
Second.
We have a vote on the motion, please?
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gerber?
Yes.
Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Mr. Lucklider?
Yes.
And on the ordinance?
Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Lucklider?
Yes.
Mayor Keenan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gerber?
For reasons I stated, yes.
And Ms. Janice Zerker?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's it, isn't it, Ann? We'll stand adjourned. Tell Amy and Greg we got this done.